Hey, thank you, Brianna. I wish I could be there, but really excited to be here. See a lot of our current investors in the audience, both live over there in Redmond as well as online, and some of our due diligence committee members as well. So, really excited to talk about PredxBio and the work that we are doing in spatial biology to radically change the landscape of drug discovery and drug development. Now, spatial biology, if you haven't heard, is the hottest field today in biopharma. It rarely happens that both nature and science actually cover in the same week um, spatial biology or any topic. And Eric Topol actually made this comment in Nature. The field of spatial biology is becoming a critical driver of life science discovery. For decades, we knew that cancer tissue was heterogeneous, and now we understand it with spatial biology. The spatiotemporal evolution of cancer is really something that has eluded us. And by the way, genomics and transcriptomics probably explain less than 1% of the hidden circuitry of cancer. But in the midst of all these developments, cancer continues its march. 19 million people are diagnosed with cancer every year today. 10 million globally die of the disease. And as you see, by 2040, the number is going to be 3x of what it is today. So it shows no real signs of abatement. Our primal weapon, really, against cancer in the final stages has been immunotherapy. There has been a 300% increase in immunotherapy clinical trials over the last 5 years. But unfortunately, the overall response rate remains suboptimal, below 20%. This is something that has happened in spite of a large number of biomarkers, which have been approved by FDA in the NCCN guidelines, and none of these really have improved these numbers. So for every 100 patients that come in, 45 may be eligible based on these current biomarkers, 17 benefit. So if you look at the patient impact of this, the typical dilemma of a patient, Sue, her diagnosis is stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. Her 5-year survival rate at best is 10%. The recommended treatment, Keytruda, her response rate is in the order of 20%. There's a tremendous cost of treatment, and then there's a cost of failed treatment. And none of these hyped about tests, including GRAIL, Foundation Medicine, Oncotype DX, Tempus, etc., do anything to improve the odds of confidence for Sue as she goes into cancer treatment. As a result of this, also biopharma companies are suffering. Every 2 weeks, you see a headline about immunotherapy drug trials failing, and with $1.7 billion to take an oncology drug to the market, 8 to 10 years, this is unsustainable. So this is exactly what we are passionate about, and we really feel that we can change this landscape. So what if you could clearly identify subpopulations of patients who would respond to immunotherapy with over 90% confidence and radically improve biomarker discovery, target identification, and design of clinical trials? And this is what we have been passionately pursuing the last 5 years. On the right-hand side, you can see a graph of accuracy. We are able to predict response to immunotherapy with 90% accuracy. And this is actual results from actual patients, not mouse models, actual patients working with biopharma. And we are generating revenue doing this today. And you compare the purple curve on the top to PD-L1 based tests. At best, it's like tossing a coin. So this is who we are. We are a company based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have been in the market for 5 years, and we are finally getting traction with biopharma companies. Our ability to predict response to immunotherapy with over 90% accuracy is resonating across the board. We are raising $2.2 million in Series A1 at $12.5 million pre-money, agreed with Nathan. We have already raised, with the help of Keiretsu, over $11 million at this point of time. Now, one of the things that we've been doing over the last 5 years is making sure our results are peer-reviewed in scientific journals like Nature Communication, Cancer Research, Cell Reports, etc. And our claim of explainable AI is not only supported by our patents, but peer-reviewed scientific publications, which I don't believe at this point anyone else has. We are raising $2 million. 700,000 of those have already been raised at a great valuation. So it's a great time for you to come in. We have a due diligence report from Keiretsu. And Dr. Chris Apfel, who's in the audience, a shout out for him, has been the leader of the due diligence team and done a tremendous job of publishing this due diligence report, which has helped us tremendously. Now, in terms of who we are a tech bio company. We harness the power of spatial data to unravel cancer biology, and we do it with unprecedented speed and accuracy. Some of you who have known the company for a while, just a quick update on the customer momentum. Now, Genmab is incorporating us in every single clinical trial that we have. We have a huge luminary, Dr. Stan Marks, the chairman of UPMC Hillman Cancer Center, join us. We have hired a new Chief Commercial Officer, Brad Spitz, who's in the audience, who many of you will get to know over the next day or so. And we are scaling our technology, and we are presenting at various conferences in spatial biology all across the world. Here are some of our repeat customers, Genmab and CastleBio, and some of the new customers coming in, Merck, AstraZeneca, IQERA. And for all of them, the goal is to improve their odds of predicting response to immunotherapy or other advanced therapies. And we are actually across the continuum of clinical discovery and development, from discovery all the way to clinical trials. Some of the action has been on the right-hand side, identifying subpopulations of response and performing precise patient stratification. But we are also moving into reverse translation of failed clinical trials to understand the why behind why the clinical trials failed, and going back all the way to discovery. And we are working with the companies that we just talked about extensively. We have built our platform using 10,000 multimodal images. These images could be from multiplexed samples with immunofluorescence to transmitted light to RNA transcriptomics. But the use of multimodal data across many different cancer types and across 4 years has really given us this confidence. And as I said, all of this is published for all of you to review. It's on our website. It's in all these peer-reviewed publications that you can see. So let's take a look at what we do. Here's the tumor microenvironment. It's a pretty messy place. There's tumor cells, stromal cells, immune cells. And what we are able to do is unravel cell-cell communication, understanding protein-protein interactions, as well as discover in an unbiased hypothesis-free way, these cellular organizations called microdomains, which are pivotal in driving the disease forward or restraining the disease, depending on its interaction with the therapy. So this is what we do. And once we unravel these microdomains, we are able to unravel the network biology of cancer. This is only possible when you use explainable AI, where AI meets spatial biology. So understanding the science behind why the algorithm is recommending a certain recommendation is critical, because if you don't understand the why behind it, nobody in the pharma world that we have met trusts the algorithm. That's just a black box, which 99.99% of the companies that present either here or elsewhere will talk about. Just to reemphasize why we do explainable AI versus black box, we understand the inherent underpinnings, the mechanistic underpinnings of cancer and the pathways using explainable AI. A black box gives nothing in regard to the neural networks. It's just a black box. It doesn't really give you interpretability, causal reasoning, or trust. So it fails to build credibility. And the last point I was going to make is that with an explainable AI, you can actually get away with smaller data sets. And that is critical in the field of cancer, when if you go to each subtype of cancer, you don't have tens of thousands of patients. So you need to learn how to work with small data set, and explainable AI helps us do that. This is the PredxBio platform. We are able to get data from spatial omics, bright field pathology, spatial proteomics. After basic quality control, we are able to do cell quantification and phenotyping within a fraction of a second using this tree and leaf algorithm recursively. And once we're able to do that, we are able to quantify every single cell out of the million cells in the tissue, and then unravel from there the microdomains, microdomain 1, microdomain 2, tumor promoting versus tumor restraining. And then we are able to actually correlate that to network biology. Let's look at some quick use cases here. Our first use case was with a company called Genmab for diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. The challenge was to identify responders versus non-responders. in immunotherapy clinical trials. We're able to do that using the PredxBio platform with 93.3% accuracy, the response to immunotherapy for the last stages in diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Let me show you the images, the kind of images that we used, 8 biomarkers, taking simple biopsy tissues and labeling them with different biomarkers. Here is another example of what we have done in colorectal cancer. The challenge was to identify the progression of colorectal cancer accurately. We were able to do that with 93% accuracy versus the tests in the market, Exact Sciences, genomic tests, some spatial measurements from Akoya. Not only were we able to do that, we were able to unravel with explainable AI the network biology of cancer. And this paper was published in Nature Communication and Cell Report Methods. And the network biology of cancer really was critical in this study in terms of understanding why patients responded, why some of the patients did not. Here is our revenue projections. We are well on our way to our revenue goals in 2023. And as we are moving forward from clinical trial model to more in the discovery and translation regime, we are moving into more of a SaaS-based offering. Our customer pipeline is solid. I'm just going to focus on one customer, that is Genmab, who now has their entire pipeline of drugs that we are actually enabling and empowering with our PredxBio platform, from functional cell phenotyping to microdomain discovery to patient stratification. This is exactly the kind of relationships that we want to get into with pharma companies, where we are actually empowering them across their entire pipeline. This is our roadmap. We believe that with the work we are doing, building these microdomain libraries, we will be able to ultimately come up with virtual simulation of the tumor microenvironment for individual patients. In other terms, in silico interventions on clinical trials as well, where we can simulate an arm of a clinical trial using the knowledge that we are accumulating at this point, building these microdomains. Extremely strong IP portfolio. We have totally covered the space with patents, 3 patents already issued, 5 PCTs, 2 continuation. This is our team that has made it possible. I think a lot of the members have interacted with Chakra Chandabotla, who's going to be at our booth 11 today, and Brad Spitz, who we just brought in as our Chief Commercial Officer. Again, just a reminder, we have $1.3 million in the Series A1 round to be raised. Fantastic valuation. And Nathan's one of our co-leads in this effort. Here are some of the use of proceeds from building the team to go-to-market strategy and building our platform. And this is our exit strategy. This is where we are right now with $2 million Series A1 in the middle, you can see, and then the exit in a few years, a couple of years, hopefully, $200 million valuation. Some of the target acquisition partners are on the right-hand side of this page. And I think biopharma would probably be the most likely exit for our company. I'll end with this page in terms of why you should invest in us, considering our solid value proposition, the leadership we have in science, the IP moat that we have built, which is unparalleled, and the fact that we are actually generating revenue today. We have paying customers, and we are growing rapidly with them. So with that, thank you, and I would be happy to answer any questions.